guys, and welcome back to another Lost Bits video right here on TetraBitGaming, the series where we explore the scrapped, unused, and unseen content in video games. Mega Man, the Blue Bomber. Notorious for difficult gameplay and some goofy cover art, first making its debut in 1987, this series has since gone on to have numerous sequels and several side series, and it's one that I've been wanting to cover on this channel for a long time. I often get requests to cover some of the Mega Man NES games, but I would keep putting it off since each game individually doesn't really have enough content for a full episode. So what I've decided to do instead is just to tackle all 6 original series NES Mega Man games at once, and take a quick look at the more notable unused content in each game. And if you enjoy these, let me know and I'll tackle some more Mega Man games in the future. But with that said, go grab an energy tank, it's time to rock, man, and find some lost bits. Let's begin with the original Mega Man. First are some unused sprites of Dr. Light. These include some talking sprites and one of what looks to be him pointing upwards towards something. Strangely, his pants here also have a red stripe, whereas all the sprites seen in the final release have a white one instead. It's unknown exactly where these might have been intended for, but some speculate that it might have been for the game's ending. Next, we have some unused coding for Mega Man. By using the following Game Genie code and holding the A button on a second controller, when Mega Man lands on the ground, he will fall and bounce just as if he had been stunned by Gutsman. Again, it's not clear as to what this would have been meant for, if anything, or if it's just some sort of residual from the Gutsman fight. And lastly, for the first game, is some normally unseen behavior for the Copy Robot boss in the second Wily stage. Now normally, the Copy Robot only jumps when the player presses the fire button, but apparently there is an unused behavior for the robot that would also have it jump when running into an obstacle. Since the boss fight room in the game is only a flat area with no obstacles, obviously this goes unused, but if some obstacles are modded into the area, this behavior can still be seen. Now onto probably my favorite of the NES games, Mega Man 2. And first up we have some unused sounds. They're all pretty short, so I'll just play them quickly back to back. It's unclear exactly as to what each of these sounds might have been intended for. And next up we have some unused graphics. The first of these are orange and pink color palettes for the Woodman stage. Apparently, the beginning of the Woodman stage was intended at one point to be set ablaze if the player were to use the atomic fire attack on the trees. And these unused color palettes were very likely meant for when the forest was burning. Then we got some more unused tile sprites. First we have a horizontal screw tile from the Metal Man stage, and some unused platform and background tiles from Flashman stage. Next is a weird looking thing that is believed to have been intended as a metar, whatever you want to call these guys, generator in Crashman stage. Honestly, it looks kind of cool and it would have been awesome to see, so I'm kind of surprised they just got rid of it. I'm sure it would have worked very similarly to the one seen in Mega Man 6. Lastly is some sort of placeholder tile with the word Aki written on it, which translates to emptiness. These were apparently at one point used to fill an empty space in the graphics of some enemies. Moving along to Mega Man 3 now, and this game finally has a bit more unused content than the previous games. First, some more unused audio. We got an unused beep, and an unused explosion. Yeah, very cool. Even more cool is that there is a big chunk of the final ending song which is cut. For some random reason, I guess meant to be a hidden secret or something, the unused part can be heard in the game if the up and A buttons are held on the second controller as Mega Man teleports. Let's have a quick listen to the cut section. In a similar manner, the majority of the Wily Castle map theme is also cut, and only about 4 seconds of it is actually normally heard. Here is the theme in its entirety of 18 seconds. Some have speculated that the Wily Castle cutscene might have initially been planned to be longer, featuring this entire song, but was shortened due to time limitations. Next, you guessed it, some more unused graphics. First we got Megaman in the Rush Marine with Rush's mouth open, probably meant for a shooting animation. Although the Rush Marine doesn't change when shooting in this game, this did end up getting used in Mega Man 4. Next is an unused sprite for the magnet missile meant as an intermediate sprite when it changes directions. As this is unused in the final release, the magnets just change directions immediately. Next we have Breakman, who, spoiler alert, is actually Proto Man. Well, there are some unused graphics that would have been used in an animation in which Proto Man would unmask himself to reveal his true self. There are also shooting graphics for both Proto Man and his Breakman disguise. In the final release, it was decided that both would only shoot while in the air, so these graphics were scrapped. Furthermore, there is an unused Saturn-like planet graphic meant for the Gemini Man stage, and a broken ladder, spikes, and static from Sparkman stage. There's also this unused tile set from Magnet Man stage, in which we can see some broken platforms, some sort of electricity, and Little Bit Bob. I'm sure it's not supposed to be the same unseen smiley face we saw back in Super Mario Bros. 2, but this is already like the third time we've seen something like this. It's almost like he's stalking us. Next is a sprite of Mega Man from behind. At this time, it's still unclear exactly what this might have been meant for, but my best guess would be some sort of menu screen or a cutscene. And lastly, for Mega Man 3 are some early versions of parts of the cutscene where Dr. Wily escapes to his new fortress, as well as an early version of the boss rematch room. In terms of the altered cutscene backgrounds, I couldn't quite get them to appear properly in my game, and at best, I think these glowing bits here are part of the old design. Anyways, this is what the backgrounds were supposed to look like. In terms of the altered cutscene backgrounds, it's quite obvious that the early versions seem more intricate. My best guess would normally be that these were changed due to memory limitations, but they're still in the ROM, so yeah, who knows. Now on to Mega Man 4, where we start with, hold on, something that's not unused audio or graphics. It's actually a hidden palette editor that can be accessed using the following Game Genie code. Just like it sounds, in theory, it should basically just let you mess around with the color palettes of the game. But aside from just changing the background color of the screen, it doesn't really seem to do much outside of this menu. And then it just spawns you right into the Brightman stage for some reason. I guess the palette editor here is just a remnant of a once existing debug mode, but in the final build it doesn't really have much of a use. Next is a completely scrapped Sphinx-looking mini-boss. It was intended for the Pharaoh Man stage and was even seen in some pre-release footage, but for whatever reason was ultimately removed. Moving on, there's an unused upside-down seal robot enemy, as well as some canister-looking thing, both intended for the Dive Man stage. Then there's what appears to be an unused expanding platform that could likely be destroyed based on its flashing center orb, and there's also some sort of gun thing on wheels? I really doubt these were supposed to be eyes, but I can't unsee it as such now. Sorry you had to be scrapped, Wheelie Boy, I would have kept you in. And finally are some more unused background tiles and sprites of Dr. Wily and Dr. Kozak seemingly laughing and pointing at each other. Mega Man 5 also has a palette editor, and this time it actually does something, and I'm sure this is what the one in Mega Man 4 was supposed to be like. Let's just touch up these colors a bit, and there. Looks great. Additionally, by using the following code, this game also has a more expansive debug mode with some more features. By holding certain buttons down on the second controller, several debugging features can be accessed, such as the ability to pass through certain objects, invincibility to spikes and enemies, and the awesome ability to restore Mega Man's energy meter and get every weapon in the game. Pretty nifty. There's also some debug features that are left in the code but are unusable. These features would allow the user to flip Mega Man's gravity and skip to the next stage. Then, as far as unused graphics go, you bet this game has some of those too. We got an unused pylon, some sort of window thing, this grid, a cloud, and an unused robotic tentacle attack meant for the Octoper OA sub-boss. The tentacle was apparently intended to rise up with Octoper and act as an obstruction that would damage Megaman upon contact. Interestingly enough, the tentacle is still seen in Octoper OA's official artwork. Mega Man 5 also has several unused enemies, including a bagworm robot, some bomb-dropping robots, a basic flying robot, a variation of a Gabual robot enemy, an early version of the jet bomb, which was some sort of self-destructing grenade robot, a hammer robot, and finally a robot shaped like a rotating light bulb. And lastly, for Mega Man 5, there is an early unused, less detailed version of the Geary enemy, as well as some unused sprites of some missiles that were meant to be fired by Napalm Man. And finally, capping off this video is the last main series Mega Man game for the NES, Mega Man 6. So we've heard of Plant Boy and Mini Plant Boy. I guess we finally get to meet their dad in this game. Plant Man. Wow, it's like a whole family of dead jokes. Interestingly enough though, this game actually has very few unused graphics. Really, the only noteworthy unused graphics are a question mark icon and some development texts mentioning several numbered Zackos, which apparently translates to small fry, a common reference to small enemies. The last notable thing in this game is a normally unseen sprite viewer and sound test screen that can be accessed with the following Game Genie codes. Just like you'd expect, this menu basically just lets you scroll through all the different characters and enemies in the game, and test their animations and alter their color palettes and such. And of course, the sound test function just lets you listen to the game's various music and sound effects. Not as cool by today's standards, but before the prevalence of the internet and being able to listen to all these songs on demand on YouTube or Spotify, in the mid-90s, I'm sure this would have been pretty amazing to access. And that will be it for this Lost Bits video on Mega Man 1 through 6, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, be sure to slap a like down below and also let me know what other Lost Bits videos you would like to see next. If you're new here and enjoyed, be sure to check out some of my other Lost Bits videos by clicking on the card right here. I'm sure you'll enjoy them as well. And if you would like to stay even more up to date with me and the channel, be sure to subscribe here, as well as swing by my Twitter and other social media things, which will all be linked in the description below. But as always guys, thank you all so much for watching today and for all of your amazing support, and I will see you in a bit.